Okay. Extremist lit. Damn it. Ideological wars. Extremist litmus test. Yeah, extremist litmus test. So my idea for this is having a not extreme but binary, like having a strong belief in something isn't inherently a bad idea, a bad thing. I feel like I would have to defend it because I have several strong opinions about things myself. But I'm trying to draw a distinction in between a strong opinion and someone being a zealot because it's very not obvious but distinct in the actions that fall into, in my opinion, that camp of behavior. It's you. That's the thing. I don't know if it's like you understand things to the point that you can't see reality in any other way, or it is a thing that you believe so much that you believe that other people denying it is like them being deceitful. Like something so true to deny it, you have to be playing a joke. And then if you're playing a joke with this thing, you're doing it in a horrific manner because it's like it's so true. Why are you denying it? I don't know. Maybe it is that thing. But the reason I want to draw that distinction is because I'm still working with working around. No, I'm working towards a workable definition of workable definition. I'm working towards how do you interact with people and how do you treat their sacred things, like as far as politics goes, because every ideological camp is made up of people that believe no that hold certain values to be more important than others, like the political values test, I think it was called. So based off of how people will answer a questionnaire like that, they'll fall into certain camps and groups, and those camps and groups tend to align with the ideologies of the world, like the different ways of thinking about things and grouping things together when it comes to politics, economics, socialist situations, all of those. Like I might be lumping a particular, not viewpoint, but I think when it comes to odds, like when people are talking to someone else or living their own life, and it's in the context of this is how it should be, I think that is an ideological expression. And then this whole series is about me thinking back to times when people were talking about a a thought for the future or a picture of the present or a categorization or definition of the past that in some way was framed through an ideological lens. And I need to go back and actually mention those times because I've just been going over the overview, but that has been because I'm still forming my idea towards it. Because this whole thing started off on a whim where I was thinking about the. Okay, something specific is going to sound silly and small, but if anyone remembers a woman named Anita Sarkeesian, she started out like a lot of bedroom feminists just in her, not bedroom, but in a home studio talking about a aspect of an escapist hobby that was affecting her, not just her social life, but her real life in ways that were detrimental to her today, but also will be hurting women everywhere into the future. That kind of thing. It was a not popular. There's no what I'm looking for. It was everywhere. A lot of different online personalities pushed that angle that it was more mature to have certain themes out of your escapism. That it was a sign of growth that if you did this at one time, you don't do it anymore. That it was a desirable quality of maturity of a you wanting to be a better you if you didn't indulge in this base crass and crude form of entertainment. It was very classist, and that seems to be a repeated category of what I'm labeling as an ideological battle at the very least. That misrepresentation of either the opposition or what the advocate is offering tends to repeat over social issues. That, well, people always want to get them right. Because people, they always want to help. If they're expressing themselves, it's usually coming out of a desire for a thing, and most people it's out of a desire to help. So why? Okay. I hate when this happens. That I forget my. It's like reading a book and forgetting your place because no, it's very different from that. Take a minute. Oh, wait. Alright, I've taken a moment to think, and I think the best framing for it is like when you have parents and the child, and the parents are, even if they don't intend to, a parent doing any communal activity, and then their kids are there, the kid is learning a lesson from that. Because people in indulge doesn't feel like the right word. But from my perspective it is a okay, separate thing I need to think about later. God damn it. But group activities. Specifically, I'm trying to relate this towards a parent taking their child to church. What that is like, it's like parents don't indoctrinate their children into their own belief system all the time. Some people do, but then it's not like a parent thing. It's more like a person thing. Like a lot of people try to evangelicalize. I think that's the word. Proselytize. That's the word. They try to spread their faith. So it's understandable that somebody who has a child, they would be doing that. May not be acceptable, but it's understandable. So what I'm talking about more so is the damn it. Hold on. Okay. I think I've figured out, or I've come up with a path that's going to help me with my problem. Not being able to get to the words that sum up what I mean and what I'm feeling. So if I'm no longer able to articulate parts of the idea, it must mean that I need to relate it back to like how it has affected my life personally. What escapism has taken a turn for the worst in my opinion. Because in recent years I've disengaged because on the theory crafting part of it, I do keep re-engaging because I want to understand why it turned out the way that it turned out. But as far as like indulging in my past hobbies and enjoying them, no. I'm not that kind of masochist. I don't think I'm a masochist. It's not out of enjoying pain that I keep re-engaging with social mediums that have a disdain for their core market. I have to go back over times that it personally affected me, where I watched something happen, is that where it affected a group I was a part of, and that is like online gaming. I guess one easy to or popular one was, there was a short time, okay, like many of these is gonna sound stupid. People refer to themselves as attack helicopters. And that was in mockery of the whole self ID thing that's going on now. Because even then, the shit posters of the internet could tell that it was some personal indulgent bullshit, which was the basis for all interaction on the internet. It was purely what you did and what was out there and available was purely because you were like, you know what? And then they did it. So that is in the same way as self ID, and like at the end of the day, because there may be psychological issues on top of it, social choices on top of it, social stigma on top of it, stereotyping put on top of it, as well as biological realities that cannot be avoided, and unseen intrinsic characteristics. I think those are the layers. There might be more, but I think there was 5 there. I think those 5 layers. See, and it gets into it. It's like it still comes down to root cause of it's how people feel. That person, how they personally feel, and how they want to be addressed by somebody else, which is not a legal issue. And it cannot be a by force social issue. But that has always been my issue with an ideological. Well, any war. Aggression comes from an actual disagreement. And I don't feel like there was a disagreement when it came to the perversion of entertainment. From where it went from not teaching, helping with escapism, and being a, it's more than just that the bureaucracy of the industry start to rot a lot like the government is doing now. It's more than that. At organizations at a certain size, they start to fall apart. That's inevitable. But it feels like the people that started to turn the screws, turn them with an intent that was cruel. Not cruel. Cruel would imply intent, because yeah, I would feel it as cruelty. Indifferent. It's, you ever come across somebody and they have a callous disregard for a thing? It's not so much that they don't know what they're holding. They know what they're holding and they have no care or regard for it. So, like I said at the beginning, coming up with a definition of sacred things. Like, it is understandable from an entertainment standpoint that, okay, so how it personally affected me. Like, I have to come up with it, but like I said, I have to re-engage with the medium. Like, it's not really going to personally affect me. I don't have any kids. Scarlet Witch from the Marvel movies. Like, the arc of her story is kind of villainous for malicious reasons, I feel like. Because her arc of a story didn't feel sweet towards the end. It felt like somebody going power mad. And maybe that was the intent, but those are typically falls for a hero. She was a hero character, a heroine. So for her to go power mad despot at the end is a fall. And then, okay, Star Wars and the Sith. with some of their later iterations. They feel like perversions of. I do feel like this is the case. Necessary definitions of both the Jedi and the Sith. Like they were. Well, all magical systems are expressions and analysis of the human emotional system. Like it has to be based off of humanity. Like it's the species that birthed it. It's going to be those products are going to reflect the species that make it. It's like archaeology. When you're going over pottery pieces, you can get an idea of the culture and the civilization based off of how they form those tools. I feel like it's the same thing when it comes to entertainment, and that how people use themes to express certain aspects of a story that gives you an idea of their idea. Gives you an idea of their idea. It gives you a piece of the puzzle that's their thinking process behind why they made the thing the way they made it. So yes, a lot of it is armchair psychology and speculation, but it's something I like to do with movies because, especially with like a cult classic, like, or something that's like the author or the director or whoever made the movie, when they made it, they don't give a lot of explanation why they made it, and people are fascinated by it, and they come up with different theories as to why things in the movie are the way that they are, and the person that made it stays silent. Those kind of movies are my favorite because I can't even mention any that are like that, because it's a niche perspective on things to try to observe people why they don't know they're being observed, but then while they're looking at something that gives you an idea of their character, because it's like we all are in. It's how you're able to be tracked. Like we all have unique characteristics that are about us that can be identified given enough time. So when it comes to entertainment, I found that knowing why the author or the director arranged the scenes the way that they arranged them will give me an idea into, when it's put onto the screen, why the viewer has the thing in front of them to even interpret in their own way. Because they might be coming to the scene from a completely unique perspective that would change how they are viewing the film compared to like a friend that they came there with. They both came there with the intention of watching a movie, and they both walk away with it with a different perspective. I mean, not vastly different, but different in ways. All that I'm trying to say, like in all that, I'm getting around to trying to say that I feel like that particular quality is like a canary in a coal mine situation. I feel like my enjoyment of movies has gone down because when I look at them and try to examine the why of what they put things together, I'm disappointed in the answer. Because when I try to examine their answers going backwards and forwards, like, okay, if I tried to do that same thing with that same intent, I would not have done that. But then that's just me. But then I'll also come back and say, I don't understand why you did that with that intent in that situation. And then I will go even further back. Given what I know you know, like with my college education idea, it should be unlikely for you to make that decision repeatedly. But, and then, okay, that's where I would have to step away. It's not that particular person making that decision repeatedly, but there are people like them and situations like them across multiple genres making that similar decision for what it seems like, feels like, I will put it there, could be completely my own bias and interpretation, feels like, for the same reasons, like there's an overlap there. Like, you ever hit something in the dark? You get a feel for the thing even if you can't see it. Like, one of my senses brushed over something when it relates to people that are trying to be moral busybodies in an escapist format. And it also seems like they're doing it in politics, and economics, and science, and religion. Religion was the oddest one. It just... I can very much admit that it sounds like I'm paranoid because I'm not able to articulate in exact words that particular situations that I'm talking about. I have odd and separated personal instances where something that I like, for want of a better word, was affected in a way by someone that has political beliefs that I think lean left, politically left within the United States, and whatever the international equivalent of that is. So, it might just be me, and I've overanalyzed the situation and come down to a distinction that will not help in things going forward, but it just feels good to yell at something. Like a Jack Sparrow. Where's that monkey? I want to shoot something. Maybe that's it. I still feel like I'm right though.